All right, this is a continuation of a series I'm doing on finite fields for mathematicians and computer scientists that I hope is works as a user's guide. For this, I want to give a solid example of a finite field of non-prime order, and after that, I'm even going to talk about um, a tiny bit of algebraic number theory because this fact is actually pretty intimately related with a lot of fundamental parts of algebraic number theory. And so I'm just going to get into it. Uh, from the previous videos, we've already seen that a finite field must have order a prime to some power. And the question was, are there any finite fields of order like p squared? And this wasn't known until, I believe, Évariste Galois started working with these, and he found fields of non-prime order. And we're going to give this example, which I think is a pretty simple, solid example of a finite field of order 49. And what you do is, it's very similar. Like, if you think about our construction, say going from, the real numbers, the real numbers to the complex numbers, what do we do? Well, we take two real numbers and we add I in. We say a plus ib, where a and b are real numbers. We can do exactly the same with the integers mod 7. And so what is f7 of I? What is this? I'm going to switch it to black because we're working with these. Well, this is precisely, it's just pairs a plus ib, such that a and b are in, this field, which is integers mod 7. And we can do addition, multiplication, etc. Addition happens coordinate-wise, like it does with the complex numbers. And multiplication is a little different. We know that I squared equals -1. And so if we do a plus ib times c plus id, what do we get? We get ac minus bd plus I times, let's make this smaller so it takes up less room, times AD plus BC. And the question is, or the question that should be happening in your head is like, okay, this seems field-like, I can do multiplication, I can do all these things, but how do I do inverses? How do I guarantee that inverses exist for this these elements? It doesn't seem clear a priori that you could find inverses. Like, this is a neat trick to make a structure which you may be familiar with called a ring, but how do I know it's a field? Well, we can go back to the complex numbers. Say I have a complex number a plus ib. Now, it's a little confusing. I'll write this as a complex number. How do we know that this is invertible? Well, you do a very clever trick. You take the conjugate, a minus ib, and you multiply that by a plus ib. And what do you get? You get a squared plus b squared. Okay. Well, this is a real number. And it's a non-zero real number, because if a plus ib is not zero, at least one of a and b is non-zero, and then this will be a positive real number. And so you can invert that. And so what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that a plus ib inverse in the complex numbers is exactly this. It's the fraction of a minus ib. You take the conjugate, and then you divide by the norm. And so, can you just do this over the integers mod 7? And the answer is yes, you can. That if I have, now we have a plus ib is in this field, which is different from the complex numbers, I'll tell you that. It's 49 elements. So like an example would be like 2 plus 4i. I guess that doesn't look that different from a complex number, but it's 2 and 4 mod 7. And how do you do the inverse? Well, you take your conjugate, 2 minus 4i, or, a minus ib, and then you want to find the inverse of this mod 7, a squared plus b squared, inverse, but working modulo 7. And so remember, mod 7, you can find inverses. But this only works if for no a and b is a squared plus b squared divisible by 7. Because if there was an a squared plus b squared that was divisible by 7, all of this breaks. And it's sort of a number theory fact that there isn't. And I'll talk a little bit more about the algebraic number theory, because this is not always true. This does not work for all primes. Like 7 is special in a way. It works for infinitely many primes, and 7's not that special. But it does not work for all primes, this construction. If I replace 7 with 5, this doesn't work. If I replace 7 with 2, this doesn't work, but it doesn't work for sort of different reasons in algebraic number theory land. And so it's just a fact, and you can actually check this. You can check, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can take their squares and add them, and you can notice that they're never divisible by 7. And so that's how you do inverses mod 7. And you get that there are exactly 49 elements, because I have 0 through 6 choices here and 0 through 6 choices here. So let's talk about an example where this trick doesn't work, and then talk a little bit about the algebraic number theory, because I think it's fun. So it doesn't work with 5. And why is this? Well, 2 squared plus 1 squared equals 5. So what does that mean? Well, that means that 2 plus I, if we're going back, say I wanted to invert 2 plus I. Well, if I want to invert 2 plus I have to take its norm and take the inverse of the norm. And so the norm of this is 5, but that's 0. And so therefore suddenly I can't invert. And in fact, you can see with this example a little bit of what's going on is that you have a 0 divisor here. If I take 2 plus I times 2 minus I get the norm for 1. And these are both elements of f5 of I. Plus 1 equals 5 equals 0. So this is not this is not a field. f5 of I is not a field because you have 0 divisors. And these aren't allowed in fields. And so what's going on? Well, what's going on is something that I'll actually talk about more in the finite field series, is that f5, the integers mod 5, in a sense already have I. They already have a fourth root of 1. And you can see it's already appeared here. That if I start with 2 and I square it, mod 5, I get 4 mod 5. And then if I square this, I get 16, which is equal to 1 mod 5. And so 2 already plays the role of I in the integers mod 5. And so if I add in an additional I, I'll have too many roots of unity, essentially. I'll have too many fourth roots of unity. And when I have too many fourth roots of unity, I can form this. So the question is, what's the general pattern here? And the general pattern is actually pretty fascinating, is that if I have a prime p that is, how do you do Kong? Is that it? No, that doesn't, equiv? Okay. To 1 mod 4. If my prime is equivalent to 1 mod 4, a few facts turn out to be true. One, wait, let me think for a second. P is equal to a squared plus b squared. And then another thing, so P is the sum of squares. That's an interesting number theory fact, algebraic number theory. And math FBB of P of I is not a field. Okay. But if P is 3 mod 4, then, oh yes, and I should add the fact that fp has fourth roots of unity. So all of these facts correspond when p is 1 mod 4. If p is 3 mod 4, then p is not equal to a squared plus b squared. Fp of I is a field, and Fp does not have roots of unity. And then there's one more case, and it's p equals 2. This is, why is this rendering weird? And p equals 2 is actually a little special, and it's called a ramified point. This gets into like Galois theory and covering theory and Étale covers and such stuff like that. But in this case, Fp of I is not a field. So p equals a squared plus b squared still holds because it's p is 1 squared plus 1 squared. And so it looks exactly the same in terms of all of these facts as the stuff before, but it is different structurally. But does not have fourth roots. F2 does not have fourth roots of unity. So it is a little different. And what's going on here is that we can actually think of in algebraic or arithmetic geometry land, we think of these integers adjoin I, and the integers of this, we actually think of these as smooth curves. This is going to be very hand-wavy, so if you don't get it, that's fine. And the points on these smooth curves are primes. And this turns into a branch cover, if you've seen complex analysis. And over points that are congruent to 3 mod 4, so like stuff like 3, for example, or like 11, we find that we have a smooth double cover as curves. And so we might draw it like this, that there's a double cover, like z squared. And points congruent to 1 mod 4, like 5, that we just talked about, it's a single cover. And for 2, which is a special case, it's like z squared. It's like this special type of singularity. So it's a double point, like this, mapping down. It's what's called ramification. And these patterns of, these patterns generalize to class field theory, where you ask these questions about, more complicated equations. And in the cases where your Galois groups are abelian, this is all solvable, and they're all solvable by relations like this, where everything's determined by their class modulo some number, like 4. But if you want to go even further to that and learn about more complicated equations, then you get to things like elliptic curves, and further than that is essentially a lot of the Langlands program. And I might do a video on that, which will not be part of this series. But there's a lot of deep stuff going on right here already. None of this you need to know to be fluent with finite fields. But I think it's, it's interesting stuff to know. Maybe it's fun to just see little hints of what's going on a little further down the line. Anyways, but that will be it for this video.